Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video lecture, we are going to discuss about what is congestion control in computer network. So let us start with first point, what is congestion control. So this congestion is an important issue that can arise in packet switching network. Here the congestion is the situation in communication network in which too many packets are present in the part of the subnet. Okay, so that's why what happened, the performance will degrade. So the congestion in a network may occur when the load on the network means what? The number of packet sent to the network is greater than the capacity of network. That is, the number of packet the network can handle. Means what? If the number of packets sent to the network is greater than the number of packets of a network can handle, then the network congestion will occur. Okay, so in other words, we can say when the too much traffic is offered, then congestion sets in and performance degrades sharply. जब भी आपका डेटा जो कैपेसिटी है उसके ज़्यादा अगर एंटर करता है तो आपका कंजेशन होगा. दैट्स वाई जब भी कंजेशन होगा उसकी वजह से आपका परफॉर्मेंस भी डिग्रेड होगा. ओके, सो हियर लेट अस सी व्हाट आर कॉजेज ऑफ कंजेशन. The second is, the first point is causes of congestion. So here there are various causes of congestion in the subnet. The first is if the input traffic rate exceeds the capacity of the output lines, then if suddenly the stream of the packet start arriving on 3 or 4 input lines and all need the same output line, then in this case the queue will build up. Okay, and if there is insufficient memory to hold all the packets, then the packets will be lost. Okay, so that means the increasing the memory to unlimited size does not solve the problem. So this is because by the time packets reach front of the queue, they have already time out. So here when timer goes off, source transmit duplicate packet that are also added to the queue. Okay, so the routers are too slow to perform bookkeeping task. And if we see again second cause of this congestion, then the second point is the router buffers is too limited. Then third point is congestion in the subnet can occur if the processor are slow. That means what? Slow speed CPU at routers will perform the routine tasks such as queuing, buffers, updating table, etc. slowly, and due to that, as a result of this case, queues are built up even though there is a excess line capacity. Next cause is congestion is also caused by the slow links. How? Here this problem will be solved when high speed links are used, but it is not always the case. Sometimes what happens, it increases in link bandwidth can further decreases the congestion problem, as higher speed links may make the network more unbalanced. So the congestion can make itself worse. Okay, so then next is how to correct the congestion problem. So if we control the congestion problem, then congestion control refers to the technique and mechanism that can either prevent congestion before it happens or remove congestion after it has happened. So that's why this congestion control mechanism are divided into two categories. The first is which is used to prevent the congestion from happening, and other category removes congestion after it has taken place. Okay, so basically there are two congestion control methods. The first is open loop solution and second is closed loop. Okay, so these are the two categories, open loop congestion control and second is closed loop congestion control. Let us see first what happened in open loop congestion control. In this method what happened, here the policies are used to prevent the congestion before it happens. ठीक है, कंजेशन नहीं होना चाहिए उसके पहले ही हम ये पॉलिसीज हम यूज करते हैं. सो दैट्स वाई हियर कंजेशन कंट्रोल इज हैंडल्ड आइदर बाय द सोर्स और बाय द डेस्टिनेशन. सो हियर द वेरियस मेथड्स आर यूज्ड फॉर द ओपन लूप कंजेशन कंट्रोल. उसके लिए कुछ पॉलिसीज डिफाइन किए हैं हमने. सो यहाँ पे द फर्स्ट पॉलिसी है which is controlled by the open loop congestion. The first is a retransmission policy. What happened in that? Here the sender retransmits the packet. So if it feels that the packet it has sent is lost or corrupted, so however here retransmission in general may increase the congestion in the network, but we need to implement a good retransmission policy to prevent the congestion. Then the retransmission policy and the retransmission timers is used to be designed to optimize efficiency, and at the same time it prevent the congestion. So this is the first policy, that is a retransmission policy. Let us see second type of policy, that is window policy. So here in window policy, to implement window policy, here selective reject window method is used for the congestion control. Here second point is a selective reject method is preferred over the go back and windows, as in the go back and method. So when the timer for the packet times out, then several packets are reset or resent. Okay, so here although some may have arrived at the receiver side, so this duplication may make congestion worse. Then third type of policy is there, that is acknowledgement policy. This acknowledgement policy imposed by the receiver which may also affect again congestion. So here if the receiver does not acknowledge every packet it received, it may slow down the sender and help prevent congestion. So to implement it, several approaches can be used. The first approach is what? Here the receiver may send an acknowledgement only if it has a packet to be sent. Second point is what? Here the receiver may send an acknowledgement when a timer expires. And third approach is a receiver may also decide to acknowledge only n packet at a time. Okay, so this is all about the acknowledgement policy. Next type of policy is a discarding policy. This means what? Here the router may discard less sensitive packets when congestion is likely to be happen. Okay, so here such a discarding policy may prevent congestion and at the same time may not harm the integrity of the transmission. Then next type of policy is there, that is admission policy. So this admission policy which is the quality of service mechanism. Basically it is used to prevent congestion in virtual circuit network. So the switches in the flow first check the resource requirement of the flow before admitting it to the network. That's why here a router can deny establishing the virtual circuit connection if there is a congestion in the network or if there is a possibility of future congestion. Then next type of congestion control is a closed loop congestion control. So here in closed loop congestion control mechanism, it is tried to remove the congestion after it happens. So there are again various methods which are used for the closed loop congestion control. The first is back pressure. So this back pressure is the node to node congestion control which starts with the node and propagate in the opposite direction of data flow. Okay, so this back pressure technique can be applied only to the virtual circuit network. In such circuit, what happened here? Each node knows the upstream node from which a data flow is coming. So here in this method of congestion control, the congestion node stops receiving the data from the immediate upstream node or the nodes, and this may causes the upstream node on nodes to become congested and they in turn reject data from their upstream nodes or nodes. Okay, second is choke packet. What happened in that? Here in this method the congestion control, here the congested router or the node sends a special type of packet which is called as choke packet to the source which is to inform it about the congestion. Okay, so here congestion nodes does not inform its upstream node about the congestion as in back pressure method. So this choke packet method, congested nodes sends the warning directly to the source station, that is the intermediate nodes through which the packet has traveled are not warned. Okay, then third is the implicit signaling. In implicit signaling there is no communication between the congested node or the nodes and the source. Then what happened here? Here the source guess there is a congestion somewhere in the network when it does not receive any acknowledgement. Therefore here the delay in receiving an acknowledgement is interrupted. Okay, so here this type of congestion control policy is used by the TCP. Next is the explicit signaling. Then in this method, the congested nodes explicit send the signal to the source or the destination to inform about the congestion. Okay, so this explicit signaling is different from the choke packet method, because in choke packet method, separate packet is used for this purpose, whereas in explicit signaling method, the signal is included in the packets that carry data. Okay, then explicit signaling can occur in either the forward direction or in the backward direction. Let us see first what is meant by backward signaling. Backward signaling means what? Here a bit is sent in packet moving in the direction opposite to the congestion. So that here this bit warns the source about the congestion and informs the source to slow down. In second case, in a forward signaling, what happened? Here a bit is set in a packet moving in the direction of congestion, and here this bit warns the destination about the congestion. So the receiver in this case use policies such as slowing down the acknowledgement to remove the congestion. Okay, then after that let us see what are the different congestion control algorithms. The first algorithm is there, that is leaky bucket algorithm. So here it is the traffic shaping mechanism which is used to control the amount and the rate of the traffic sent to the network. So this leaky bucket algorithm shapes bursty traffic into the fixed rate traffic by averaging the data rate. Let us see, imagine the bucket with the small hole at the bottom. Then what happened here? Here the rate at which the water is poured into the bucket is not fixed, and it can vary, but it leaks from the bucket at the constant rate. That means here what happened, the rate at which the water leaks does not depend on the rate at which the water is input to the bucket. Okay, so here also when the bucket is full, then any additional water that enters into the bucket spills over the sides and it is lost. So here the same concept can be applied to the packets in the network. Means what? Let us consider that the data is coming from the source at the variable speeds. So suppose that the source sends a data at 12 Mbps for the 4 seconds. Then there is no data for a 3 seconds. Okay, so the source again transmit data at the rate of 10 megabit per second for 2 seconds. So thus in a time span of 9 seconds, 68 megabit data has been transmitted. So here if a leaky bucket algorithm is used, then the data flow will be 8 megabit per second for the 9 seconds. So thus here constant flow is maintained. Okay, so next second type of algorithm is there, that is token bucket algorithm. In token bucket algorithm, here the leaky bucket algorithm allows only an average, or we can say the constant rate of data flow. Its a major problem is that it cannot deal with the bursty data. Okay, but if you see the token bucket algorithm, then in a leaky bucket algorithm, it does not consider the ideal time of the host. For example, if the host was ideal for 10 seconds and now it is willing to send data at a very high speed for another 10 seconds, then the total data transmission will be divided into 20 seconds and average data rate will be maintained. So the host is having no advantage of sitting ideal for 10 seconds. Okay, so that's why to overcome all these problems, the token bucket algorithm is used. Okay, so this token bucket algorithm allows the bursty data transfers. So this token bucket algorithm is the modification of this leaky bucket, in which leaky bucket contains tokens. So in this algorithm, tokens are generated at every clock tick, and for a packet to be transmitted, system must be remove token from the bucket. So thus here the token bucket algorithm allows ideal host to accumulate credit for the future in form of tokens. So let us see one example. If a system generates 100 tokens in a one clock tick and the host is ideal for 100 ticks, then the bucket will contain 10,000 tokens. Okay, now if the host wants to send bursty data, then it can consume all the 10,000 tokens at once for sending 10,000 cells or bytes. So thus here the host can send bursty data as long as bucket is not empty. Okay, so this is all about the token bucket algorithm. So this is all about our today's session. I hope you will like and enjoy. We will stop here with motivational quote. Today's motivational quote for you is, the best project you will ever work on is you. Thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.